Welcome to the Mix Minus podcast. It is Wednesday, March 27th, the day before the Sweet 16 begins and the day before the Major League Baseball officially begins, even though we had those two games in Japan where Ichiro retired. And with us again to talk about it is our resident college sports expert and Major League Baseball expert, Matt O'Daniels. Matt, how's it going?
It's going good. I'm getting ready for tomorrow. It should be great.
Yeah, so let's jump first into that, the Sweet 16. I know there were a lot of games that weren't very good, but there were also some games that were tremendous. And obviously the one we'll start with is Duke and UCF. That was one of those all-time tournament games, wasn't it?
It was, and it was one of those deals where, Duke was favored by 13 points. Yeah, you heard about Taco Fall, but the teams at the AAC this year. I mean, it certainly wasn't Central Florida. It was obviously Houston, and it was Cincinnati primarily. So yeah, UCF. I mean, Johnny Dawkins played. Johnny Dawkins' son, Aubrey played out of his mind. I mean, it was just an incredible performance. They were on the ropes. If they don't miss that alley-oop attempt with around 2 minutes left to go up 6, I mean, UCF probably wins that game. But then at the end of the game, if he makes that layup, they win the game. It was just, what did you think?
I thought it was just unbelievable. There were a couple of things. One, I think the fact that Johnny Dawkins came out of the Coach K kind of school and boiler room, being his assistant for all those years, it seems like sometimes you can just keep things really close, and you have the ability to know you're sort of a carbon copy. You know exactly what's going to happen, no matter who Coach K has on the court. You just know what's going to happen, and so it's sometimes hardest to have a combatant like that for Coach K. But I thought the ability for Duke to pull that out was just unbelievable. You're very rarely rooting for Duke to win, and for some reason it felt like you were. And I was also rooting for Zion to do something, and he really did. He really did something. That play to the hoop was unbelievable. Now, he did miss the free throw, which RJ Barrett picked back up. There was just so many moments in this game, and nobody should feel ashamed of themselves, and they all should feel great. It was really great to see Coach K deal with Dawkins after both the father and the son, and for him to say what he said, which a lot of times you would watch something like that and you would go, oh, he's just saying this. But he really felt that way, that he felt bad that they couldn't win. But it was great. And I think for Duke, they hope they got their scare out of the way. It was just a tremendous basketball game, and it was also at a perfect time. It was at the perfect prime time, where everybody was watching on a Sunday afternoon. Even me, who had to go to bed early with a baby, I could see that whole game. It was just, everything about it was perfect.
It really was, and not to toe the company line and to be cheesy and blah blah blah. I mean, no, this was really. And for me down here in South Carolina, my mom just got out of surgery. She's recovering, but she's a huge college basketball fan. And then a friend came over with a bunch of coffee and culottes and stuff and donuts. It was just and then he got into it because, he's a Charlotte native and we're all as a family watching the game kind of with around 10 minutes left. And then my buddy came over with the coffee and the drinks and the donuts, and it was incredible. It really was.
Yeah, and
it wasn't like I said, not to reiterate it, but you're saying, it wasn't just the cheesy. This is Krzyzewski coaching against Quinn Snyder. It was a little bit more than that.
Yeah, everything about it was just you want the greatest moments to happen when everybody's watching. And it makes everybody feel like they were a part of something. So it was great. And I'll tell you, my brackets are pretty good looking, to be honest. I have a lot of, I still have everybody in play in terms of who I have going all the way. I got Duke there. Is your final Duke Carolina? It is.
Yeah, I think it's everybody's. I mean, that's the game. Although looking back on it, Mexico State. I don't know. Did you get a chance to watch that New Mexico State Auburn game? That was a great finish.
It's funny. I've lost track.
Well,
I saw a lot of them.
New Mexico State had a chance to win at the end, and their best player throws up an air ball 3. I mean, in the first round, that was crazy. A little quick synopsis of Wofford. I mean, I was all over Wofford this year, and they're nip and tuck. Seton Hall comes back, makes a run, and Wofford hits the 3 to go up 67-66. Powell pulls up from the March Madness logo. It's halfway in. Next thing you know, Wofford goes on a 17-0 run, and they hit 3 threes, and it was just like the game was over. But if Powell hits that 3 on the comeback to counter the Wofford 3 from Hoover, I mean, it was a crazy game. And then Wofford, obviously, with Fletcher McGee, he goes 0 for 12 from 3. It's just crazy.
Well, and we got the John Morant game in the first one, and then he just was overwhelmed by a better full-on team of athletes in Game 2 against Florida State.
They were nowhere to be found against Vermont. It was incredible. I know Vermont hit 17 threes in the first game or whatever, 15 or 16, but Florida State was the witness protection plan, as Mike would say or Dog would say. I mean, they couldn't be found in that first game against Vermont. It was incredible, and then they do what they do to Murray State.
Yeah, I almost felt bad for Ja. It's like once he had that first game, I kind of wished that he could go and be like the point guard for Kentucky for the rest of the run.
But he did open that. He did open that the second game. He hit 4 threes. So
I
it was
know.
like, oh gosh.
I know, but there's only so much he could do. It's tough. There's only so much he can do because so much of what he does is making things happen for his teammates. And I just felt bad for that moment because I would have loved to have seen him gone on. Can you imagine if we lost him and Zion in that last round? It would have had a different complexion for the rest of this thing. But we're seeing a really good run from the SEC, the ACC, and I guess you could kind of say the AAC in spots. But it really does seem like they almost could have just done a tournament between those, the ACC and the SEC, doesn't it?
Yes, and I love LSU. People are like, oh, well, the coach. No, it's actually, in my opinion, it's kind of like the quarterback for the NFL, where it's kind of like the RG3. Like they don't know what's going to happen. So now with LSU, you got this new coach or their interim coach, and they're just going nuts. It's like you don't know what they're you know what they're going to do, but I just love LSU's athleticism. I think Naz Reid's amazing, from New Jersey, I believe. Their point guard Waters is ridiculous. As far as SEC is concerned, granted, you're going to have your Kentucky. They're a blue blood, but I really like LSU.
Tennessee too. I mean, they're hanging
Tennessee.
in there.
They scare me. I just don't think they have that killer instinct. Excuse my French.
So I'm trying to see my bracket here. So do you have Kentucky and North Carolina coming out in the next? That would be the Elite Eight into that game, because we have North Carolina
Correct.
and Auburn, and then Kentucky, Houston. Although Houston could always break a bracket here.
And the Duke Virginia Tech. Everyone's talking about Virginia Tech and they get killed on Friday night, which they might, but you never know. Something's weird about Buzz Williams and that Virginia Tech team. They're not a bad team this year.
No, and they just can't hit the threes you need at the levels you need in terms of Duke. So if they're not having a good game in that regard, you can stay close with them because it becomes a little bit of bully ball out there. But speaking of bully ball, any comments on Tom Izzo? Oh boy, I haven't read enough or looked enough into that. I've just seen the high level of what happened. It looked a little intense, but I think sometimes we do overreact when we see something like that. I mean, this is the heat of the game. It's one and done, and who knows what precipitated it. And he's going to have to deal with that being in the public view the whole time. So, I mean, did he touch him really, or was it mostly just intense yelling in his face? I didn't see anything else after that. It's
weird. Like, I guess I'm an old school guy. I personally saw nothing wrong with it. He's definitely trending in the direction where coaches today just don't do that anymore, fortunately or unfortunately. I think there was a lot of overreaction, but whatever. I guess, we live in a hypersensitive society today, and just, people obviously on the social media, because they need their voices to be heard, we're a little, I guess, miffed about it. And then moving down, I love Texas Tech. I mean, granted, Buffalo is Buffalo. They kind of got screwed on the 6th seed, in my opinion, and didn't rebound. Texas Tech, I think, is really going to give Michigan a tough game. But that Houston-Kentucky game is going to be good, though. Yeah. Like, I don't know. I think that's going to be really good. And I put it to you this way. I think these slate of games are going to be better than like last week's games, honestly.
Yeah, there's not a lot of Cinderellas left to be.
Right, which is good. And Carolina-Auburn, I mean, that'll be a track meet.
Yeah.
And Florida State's going to keep – I think Florida State-Gonzaga is going to be an intriguing game, to say the least.
Absolutely. The last thing I want to say on college basketball, what did you think of Avery Johnson out in Alabama?
Well, it's weird. And so is the SEC, coaching carousel. The guy from Vanderbilt's gone. Anderson's gone out of
Arkansas.
But yeah, I thought that was kind of weird. I guess I thought was his son a senior this year. It was just, I thought that was kind of weird. I don't know why. Alabama's a football school, but it's not like he was doing a bad job. I thought that was kind of confusing, honestly.
I know, and he brought in the although maybe this is the new template, because he had the lottery pick in Colin Sexton last year, and what we've seen with all these different teams, you have the lottery pick, you stink, and then you put in a new coach, and then that coach brings them to the tournament. We see a lot of examples in that. Of that this year, but I don't know what Nick Saban's going to do without Avery Johnson running the point in his famous pickup basketball game, so it's going to be a little tough. All right, let's jump over to baseball, because we only really have 40 minutes here, and we have a whole new season upon us. I'll tell you, I'm a lot more into this season than usual. I think I told you.
Is that because of the Grom and Syndergaard? Like, are you just pumped up about them going to Syracuse tonight?
No, that was a good story. Hey, I'm going to Syracuse next Friday.
Okay.
My dad is going to be turning 70 in June, and he asked if my brother and I would go up with him to see. It's not opening day; it's the second game of the season. We're going to see 105 start up at I forget what the stadium name is. It's always changed, but the former
it's
home
not the Carrier Dome. Though.
No, it's not. And it was hopefully it's not going to be 35 degrees either. But we're going to see the Pawtucket Red Sox visiting the Syracuse Mets, and I think Tim Tebow will be on that team. And it's funny because on Labor Day, we went to see Pawtucket play Scranton Wilkes-Barre on a little trip over there. So, yeah, we're going to go up there. We're going to see the game, stay in an Embassy Suites there, and maybe go to a nice steakhouse and then turn back around Saturday morning and come back home. So it's going to be exciting. No, I'm not as exciting because you got to remember, we forget this, but do you remember the Mets started 10-1 last year?
Oh, I heard all about it. They were NL East champs in April. Yes.
If there was ever a time to be pumped, that would have been it. So I'm not necessarily pumped about that, but I think I told you that I have fallen on watching this Mad Dog show every day for probably the past 3 weeks out of nowhere. I don't know what made me just press play on the DVR in my YouTube TV.
Where you been the last 5 years?
I love it. I can't stop watching it. I can't
stop watching it. It's amazing. It's awesome.
He gets you so excited about baseball. Nobody's doing that. Like even I think Mike Francesa's in a lot of trouble. Today was going to be the end of the ratings book, right? So there's a chance that for the quarter, Michael K might win. And Michael K was bringing in Mad Dog, I believe, today. And then Mike was bringing in Bill Simmons. It's like the arms race. But Mike was always sort of my baseball, Mike and Dog, but then Mike became it. And I don't like hearing Mike talk about baseball. I'm not that into it. Mad Dog is phenomenal with baseball.
Because he knows the history and he's going back and forth. He's always got even towards the end of his show, it'll be for me, the last 5 years I've been plugged into that show because it's just a great show. And
it's an hour, so it's not even too much of a heavy lift.
And then if you miss the hour, you get the condensed version of 5:30 from 5:30 to 6. But not that no one cares about that. But I'm just saying, he'll have guys. He's a historian. He's very he's just Dog, and he is. You're so right because I've been. Yeah, you can get into it, and he gets everybody in the mix, and it's great. He's a great host for that show.
No, he's very good. So I'm just into it. I've by watching that show, I've gotten a good.
So you're not
preview
into
this
the
evening.
Mets though, but you don't care about the Mets. You're nervous. You're apprehensive. What?
No, I'm not. I don't have a feeling they're going to be good.
Tebow's coming to the majors though this year, right?
Well, I saw in his angry moments on the plane in Sarasota, waiting for 3.5 hours to take off to go to Syracuse.
Wait, Tim Tebow gets angry. I didn't know.
No,
this.
no. Noah Syndergaard was angry, and
okay.
someone asked him, "What's the over/under 20 games Tebow's in the majors?" And Syndergaard said over. So that was a bit of a surprise there. But it might be one of those things where they just want to have him in there, just as someone who's sort of the can-do spirit. Maybe they'll make a movie about it someday, and then the Mets uniform is in a movie finally. I'm very excited about the season. The Mets, I'm excited that they signed DeGrom. He was due it. I don't care what happens from here on out. That guy has become. They developed this guy from a bizarre story into Rookie of the Year, into a dominant starting pitcher who could be going for his second Cy Young in a row. And you know what? Enough of thinking you're getting away with not paying him anything.
Right.
So I'm happy they paid him. And I know I heard Mike Francesa say, no, wait till the year, let him prove it. It's like, no. How about giving the guy money? He's like 32, man.
Pay the man.
Let him get paid. So
Stetson Hatter's alumni.
Exactly. Shortstop. So
right.
That to me that was a great story. We'll have to see what they do with the other guys, but that was the big story. And I think there's a karma to that. Doing the right thing, I think, is a good turning point for the Mets, because they're always trying to skimp, get on by without doing exactly the right thing. And then they didn't do the wrong thing, but they don't do the right thing. Like the Yankees do the right thing. The Mets did the right thing here. So, am I excited about the team? I don't know. I don't know when Cespedes is coming back. I don't know. I don't love having Cano on the team at 36.
I don't mind that. I'd rather have Cano than Cespedes, honestly.
I guess.
I think
they're both making way too much.
Shot, dude.
Well, I think Cespedes is done. I think he got his money, and he's like, I don't need this really that much. I'm good. But
I'm waiting to hear Gary Cohen's call. Will he say a ribby from Robbie? I'm just kidding.
I'm not sure about that, but I mean, it's going to be, as long as they're competitive, they're worth watching. You can do a lot in baseball now, getting yourself to the mid 80s to the upper 80s. You're in a season for a long time. So I think if the Mets can just kind of do that, their over-under is 85.5, which feels a little high for the team, to be honest. But if you're at that zone, if you're getting to 86, 87 wins, you're in play for a playoff a lot of seasons. So that's what I think you look for. But why don't we start? Let's just try to move through this. We're going to go division by division. We'll start with the major division, the AL East. You got the Red Sox and Yankees, who both had 100 wins last year, which is pretty insane. Red Sox are 93.5 over under, and I'm looking at the Westgate. So Westgate, Las Vegas. I'm just using it because it's a nice thing here. So it's saying 93.5. The Yankees over under is higher than them. Is that correct?
That's it's just wild. It really is wild. I don't know what's more wild, is Adam Ottavino wearing that number 0 on the back of his the Yankee pinstripes. It's a little strange. I don't know. I think it's going to be a repeat performance from the Red Sox. They're the team to beat, man.
They're tremendous.
They're the team to beat. I don't care what anybody says. They're the team to beat. JD Martinez is insane. Price has proved himself now. He's got a little pressure off. Betts is MVP. It's the Red Sox reload, and they just resale sign. They re-signed Sale, right?
They resale sign. Yeah. No, they re-signed Sale. Yeah, I mean, see, what I mean? That was the kind of move. That's the right thing to do. And Sale wasn't even really in the playoffs a lot, from what I remember. So that was the right thing to do. You do the right thing, and you worry about it later. So that was a good move, and it's going to be 1-2 in that division. But you know what? Winning that division is important, so you don't have to play that.
That stupid playoff game where you have we have Oakland coming in at 97, throwing up the opener and giving up the game. Whatever.
That's exactly right.
Anyway,
now the crazy part, though, you look then at Tampa Bay Rays. They had 90 wins last year, which is insane. How quiet you can have 90 wins and still be 18 behind the team in first.
And we'll give Snell the $15,000 bonus.
Yeah, and they're an 80. That's true. And they're an 84. They're an 84.5.
That's just goes to show the depth and the weight of the AL East. I mean, it's just so good. And it's similar to the NL East in terms of powerhouse franchises.
Absolutely. Toronto really taken a step back from where they were years ago. They're a 74 over under.
What's so dumb is that I got Vlad Guerrero Jr. last year on my fantasy team, occupying a spot because I just know he's going to get called up. He doesn't get called up. I don't understand what they're waiting for. I mean,
well, they're waiting for a contract. That's that karmic thing. That is the wrong thing to do.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
Bring him up.
How do you not play the kid? The kid's good. You're either good or you're not. I'd be stewing if I was him, but I just don't understand it. So 74.5 seems like a good number.
And talk about Baltimore. My goodness. How
Buck has changed. The buck stops here.
Yeah, who's their manager now?
Oh gosh, it's what's his face. I gotta have to look it up. It totally blah. But yeah, I got him at 60 games or 50. I have it at 60, and then I also have him at 59.5. So,
ooh. And that's
I don't know.
You got to go under because they're going to get beat up by those Yankees, Red Sox, and even Tampa Bay have to get a lot of wins on somebody's back.
It's a first year. It's a first year manager, I believe. I'm sorry, I should know this off the top of my head, and I don't. But it's weird. They might
had
just
47 wins last year.
Yeah, Brandon Hyde, that's his name.
Oh,
he's a bench coach with the Cubs in 2016. He's a younger dude, 45 years old. I just think it's just weird. They could go, they could go on a run to get that's a low number. That's for me. I tend to take the over just because that just seems so low.
But they won 47 last year.
I know they were so bad last year.
They really
no more
were.
Adam Jones. See you later. Yeah.
Oh, that's true. Where did he go?
He went to. I'm really on the ball today, Matt. Let me tell you.
No, I'm dropping it out there. Let's see.
It's
Adam Jones. Let's see. I can look on he's on Arizona.
I want to say it's and but they've. See this. I want to get back to Arizona. It's funny we're kind of hopping around here. I love St. Louis signing Goldschmidt.
Oh my God,
love that move.
That was a smart move.
And I'm not just saying that because I'm like I don't know. I've never spent any time with any MLB executives. I'm just saying get out of Arizona, go to St. Louis, and Arizona.
Bask in the belovedness of the fan base and hit your 40 home runs, and you can gracefully go out as a 31 home run guy in 6 years, and they'll still love you. Yeah,
and then Arizona actually got rid of the pathway to the mound. They've installed artificial turf at Chase Field this year, and they've done away with the keyhole look there with the old ramp up to the mound. And they have Adam Jones and see you later Goldschmidt, and they have Greinke. I don't know what Arizona's doing.
They just had a player tear everything in his knee today in a preseason game.
I didn't know. Really?
Steven Souza, I think.
Oh God, that's not good.
And didn't that happen to AJ Pollock 4 years ago? Didn't he do the same thing? He tore it in the game before the season started. I thought that's just a terrible thing. So all right, AL Central, Cleveland. They had their moment. They were so close to a World Series, and it has just been backsliding ever since. Now they are 10-1. For the World Series, but because they're in such a bad division now, their over/under is 91.
It's combined with that bad division, but they also have great players. Did you read what the owner said? Enjoy Lindor while you can. I mean, he's tanking. He doesn't care. I did have a brief conversation with Terry Francona outside the Diamond Resorts LPGA tournament in the clubhouse area, getting some coffee. Yes, I did. I said, Tito, I loved your book. You don't want to make it awkward, but he was a nice guy. And I said, do you guys really think you're going to? He's like, I love our club. I love our club. So he loves the club. I don't know if that's just the, what he says to all the fans, but I think he's a great manager. They still have, they're getting Carlos Santana back, I believe, right, from the Phillies.
Oh, is that right? Oh, yeah. Oh, my gosh.
And so they may, I don't know. I think with Tito, Lindor, but it's just weird. It actually seems like the Major League movie because the owner just doesn't care. He doesn't care about re-signing Lindor. He said, quote, enjoy him while you can to the Cleveland fans.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know. I think with Tito, a weak division, like you said. I'd take the over the 91. Still have Klubot going out there dealing, and
they got good pitchers because I mean they got Bauer, who a lot of people think has some Cy Young buzz. They have a lot of pitchers, and Kluber can get hot. I know he seems to play down when they get to the playoffs a lot of times,
right? But he's good though.
Yeah, he has dominance in him, so they'll be fine. The rest of this division, man, Minnesota 84 over under, Detroit 69 over under. Chicago 73.5 over under, Kansas City 70.5. I mean, the bottom fell out on a division that was much better like 4 or 5 years ago. I mean, where they were all in play.
And I've been hearing about the White Sox resurgence, for 5 years now. Stop it. Also consulted RSTN. I'm kidding. No, but if you look at the Kansas City logo this year, they've taken out the black in the background for their logo, so it went back to their classic look. I did find that out. But yeah, it's just the bottom. It's a weird for as much as Oakland gets killed. Those AL Central teams are worse. I think I really do.
They're just bad. It's unbelievable how bad it's gotten, and that is to the benefit of Cleveland, as we said. AL West, a nice division. You have Houston with an over/under of 96.5.
Again, it's incredible.
That's high.
It's incredible. They're the class of the West. It is very high, and
they're almost the Golden State Warriors.
Yeah, it's weird. They have talent all over the place. It's incredible. It really is. It really is. And they play in a small. They just That's a good comparison. That is a good comparison.
And then they go and bring in Verlander to the mix those years, and now they're going to keep him and sign him through. And yeah, they have it figured out.
The fountain of youth, right?
And they have the analytics, and they have all that, and they just are. They're a monster. They're really, really good. Of course, the playoffs happen, and anything can happen. And Boston happened to them last year, but they're going to be there every year. If your over under is 96.5, that's some serious winning.
I don't want to get on the conspiracy thing, but when Boston ratted out that consultant that was stealing signs, So let's see. So you know what? Screw it. Take the under on Houston this year.
So Oakland, you're always attuned to them. 81.5. Why have they dropped off so much?
I think their pitching isn't that good. I think people are going to adjust to them. They're going to know how to pitch to Chapman. They're now going to know how to pitch to. Well, maybe not to Davis. He'll hit another 45 bombs. I mean, it's incredible. Chris Davis.
He's unbelievable.
He's just a power guy.
And he's finally getting paid now, too.
Yeah, and I think he has plans to stay with the new ballpark coming to Oakland. I'll be up in Seattle September 27th to catch the Oakland A's against the Seattle Mariners. Not to, bore people with details, but I will be at Safeco that evening. Hopefully it'll be tight for a race, or hopefully, Oakland will be in another race. I mean, last year's 97 win team was just it was incredible, really. All their pitching got hot, their defense and their hitting, but I think people are going to adjust to Chapman and Canna and Davis. I think I'd still take the over on 81. I like them hopefully getting a wild card somehow sneaking in, but you got to think the Angels are going to come back and now resigning Trout. I mean, you got to think they've got something going on. I mean, I think Trout's been to one playoff series the whole time he's been in Anaheim.
Yeah, and weren't they like a 98 win team that one year? Like, weren't they really good that one year?
To the Yankees. Yeah,
didn't they lose to Kansas City?
That's right. I'm sorry. You're right.
Weren't they swept actually? Possibly.
I think they won one game. Okay. But my point is you got to think that I don't know about the Mariners, but I'm just saying you got to think that eventually with Trout's so good, he stays healthy. They got Ohtani. They make a few more moves. Now, this is no more Mike Scioscia, so maybe a new leadership. You got to think that they're going to break through because Mike Trout's almost too good to how does he not carry guys? You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Seattle, Jay Bruce, first base. Interesting.
Yikes. Where's Adam Dunn?
Yeah, I don't know where he is. So we said Seattle really fell off. Los Angeles is interesting, giving Trout the long deal. They need to play through. They need to play through the end of this. The end of this contract for. Why can't I think of his name?
Well, here's the deal.
No, the famous guy. What's his name? I can't think of his name.
Pujols.
Yes.
But here's the deal. Like, you're telling me the Angels and the Oakland A's are at 81.5, both of them. See, that just tells me that it could be, LA Angels could go freaking win 93 games. They're that much as capable. I think they're capable of doing what Oakland did last year is what I'm trying to tell you.
Well, and did you find that unfair? And I think Mad Dog might have just been taking the side of the argument like a lawyer, but how he was trying to say it was like really dumb that Trout signed with the Angels because they never win.
That's stupid.
I don't agree with that at all. Well, you take the money and you win. You do win. Like, it happens. It doesn't mean you win every year. Well,
look at it took him 13 years, and he finally got the cup.
Well, and then look at like the division we just talked about. If 5 years ago you were looking to sign with the team, you're looking at the AL Central. And then 5 years later, if you had signed that 10-year deal, look how bad things look right now. If you signed with one of those teams who were in the playoffs, in World Series, in all this stuff. So I thought that was a weird point. I think he was just making it to be provocative, which worked. But like the Angels, at some point, it can happen. It just happens. You find a run, you find a seam in the season, and you go on a run. And look, Mike Trout can carry things, and who knows if Pujols can have a moment. They got LaCroix as a catcher. They have players, and they have some pitching, and they got Cody Allen's their closer now, who was good at one point.
Yes, and I think I just want to compare it to Ovechkin, and I don't know if that's out of my lane by using that comparison, but Ovechkin got killed for years. He goes out and they were on the ropes against Columbus last year in the Eastern Conference Finals, but it took him 13 years to get to to win a cup. So, I mean, that might be – I just look at Ovechkin and Trout similarly in that way that they're that good.
Or how about Dirk Nowitzki, in basketball? It's a very – he's happy where he is. He's living in Southern California. He's fine. He's good. Texas Rangers, another team who was good years ago, over under 71.
I don't know, Matt.
Wow.
Should we go back out there to catch the last year of the ballpark at Arlington? They're going to be tearing down the place. This is the last year. A friend of mine, Roy Silver, a consultant with the Rangers, has told me that they're going to be keeping. I think we talked about this on the other podcast last year, but they're going to be keeping the stadium facades, but they're going to be building through it. But they're going to be moving into a new ballpark. I don't know. Profar's now on Oakland. I don't know. I just don't think Texas is going to do anything. I'd take I'd take the over, but I wouldn't be surprised. 71's good.
Yeah. All right. The NL East. We talked a bit about the Mets. Interesting division. Having Bryce Harper move up the Route 95 a little bit to Philadelphia, and yet to have Washington still at the same over/under basically as Philadelphia.
It's stupid. It's you know what, Matt? I'm going to go out. I can't stand the Nationals office, the owner, what they did. I hope they lose. This is the first time where I'm going to be rooting for the Mets to beat the Nationals every game this year.
Because of Harper?
Yes, because of their ownership, their leadership, not the players. I just totally disagree with how they run their organization. Not that I got any skin in the game. I'm just saying I just totally disagree. I just don't like anything they do. How do you let Harper go? Are you kidding me?
Well, and you wonder though if he wanted to stay. And the one thing I have to say is you had a guy through what is the new prime when you come into the league as young as that, and he did okay, but he had a lot of like subpar seasons mixed in with some really good ones, and he almost had like an Odell Beckham-ish feel to him, where so much was about him, the style.
Totally disagree. And Odell Beckham's never been to the playoffs, so I don't want to. No,
he's been in the playoffs last year. 2 years ago they went to the playoffs. Remember they were 11-5, and then remember they went on the boat in Miami in the week between him and the White.
Harper doesn't do that. Odell, so I think it's a terrible comparison.
But I think that there's a psychic value to the presence, though, and maybe they feel that there's an addition by subtraction here.
Yeah, but
they had him.
Go win a playoff series, Nationals. I just think they're a joke.
I know, but they're talking about a $300 million contract, and they paid out to Scherzer. They paid out to Strasburg. They paid out those years ago to Jason Worth. But I think sometimes when you have a guy in hand, you don't. The Yankees did this for years. The guys who were in hand, Steinbrenner never valued as much as he valued the outside people. And so I think the Nationals are sort of like, we put out an offer that we liked, and they would have liked him to stay for that. And he didn't get like a ridiculous amount more at the end of the day. And hey, I'll say, I think I'd rather live in Philly. People can kill me. I think I'd rather live in Washington than Philly.
You know what? After watching It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, I don't know. Philly's kind of embraced them. But no, here's the deal. It all started with the pitch count with Strasburg. Go win a game 5. I can't stand them. I hope Philly kills them too. I hope the Nationals lose to the Marlins every game too. They're just they probably won't because they're still good. But out of spite, I'm just going to take the under. I hate the Nationals.
So you think the Nationals are under and the Phillies are over, or do you think the Phillies are still not going to get to 89? That's a tough number to get up to, even with a
just
with a
because
player.
I'm going with complete delusion here. I'll take the over with Philly. I'll take the under with Washington. And I know we're not on the final tally yet, but I'll do that.
And what about the Mets? 85 and a half.
That's weird. I think I agree with you. I think it's a little high. But they got the pitching, man.
They really do. And if it's healthy,
they really do.
It's got to be
That's
healthy.
What I'm saying.
If you have pitching, you just win. Because the baseball is an attrition game. And so when you have pitching, every day that pitching's coming at you, hitting is tired. Pitching's not tired because pitching is every 5 days. So if you have it, you have an amazing advantage.
Now, what do you think about the Mets bullpen, though?
There's Gazelman and Lugo and
do you like Callaway? Do you like what Callaway's doing?
Andrew Firkins? No, I'm not. He looks so much like our friend Andrew Firkins, but
interesting. Very
I'm
interesting.
not sure. He seemed way in over his head, over his skis last year, but who knows if that was just the Mets thing happening to him, and he just wasn't ready for it.
Similar to Philly's manager, same deal, kind of. I
Kepler,
thought
exactly.
I mean, because I thought Kepler in that first week, especially the first game of the year. Not that I'd say I placed a wager on the first game of the year, but let's say I did. I was irate what Kepler did with the bullpen to lose that game. I thought if they left the start anyway. I think the Mets. What is it at 84 and a half?
No, 86 and a half.
86 and a half. I take the under only because I don't trust the Mets, but here's the thing. I hope they beat the Nationals every time they play them this year.
Now, here's the thing, though. If they are healthy, if that pitching's healthy, they could easily jump 86 and a half because, look, they got the starters. They brought in a closer. They brought back Familia to be a setup guy.
That's right.
And then they got the depth of the bullpen is pretty interesting. So
Somos Familia.
And look, yeah, absolutely. And look, they can also make trades in the season. If things are going well, they're in a position to bring some people in to make a run because they do have the pitching. We saw what they did with this pitching running to a World Series. They cleaned up the NL on that run.
They really did. And it's almost like I'm forgetting about the Braves. It's crazy. I'm actually going to be going down. Listen to this, Matt. I'm going down luxury box. What is it? May, whatever it is, whenever it's either, July, it's either May or June or July 4th weekend when they play the Phillies. I'm going to luxury box, new SunTrust ballpark. I got the invite. So I'm very excited to do that.
Nice.
But they're good. I mean,
yes,
they're good. They're a playoff team. I mean, it's like almost like the Braves are not that they're not an afterthought, but it's like they're still sitting there. And then, the Marlins.
The Marlins, that's where a lot of wins are picked up on 63 and a half. Wow. And they're bottoming out on purpose though. That's the plan. And we're, potentially we're all going to be laughing at ourselves in like 4 years when they have every great player who's been drafted.
Do you trust it's a stupid question, but do you like what Jeter's doing?
I think he's really ham-handed in the moment of doing it, but I think he's got the right plan.
So you think
it'll work out.
So you think his foresight isn't going to be questioned? Like this for the short term, obviously he's getting killed. People are killing him. No Marlins, man. Everybody hates him. Blah blah blah.
Yeah.
But you think okay?
Yeah, I mean he better be right because he traded away like 3 MVPs in one off season. I mean 3 guys who were like. Yelich won the MVP, Stanton won the MVP the year before, and Ozuna had MVP like numbers the year he was there. So he gave up like a lot. And I understand his point.
Up in the second half, yeah.
And I understand his point. We lost with them. we can lose without them. Yes, but you better be right. You better be right.
Now, are you making the trip to Chicago? Because we're going to the Central now, right?
No, I got to. I'm making the trip to Syracuse. I don't know about Chicago yet. I do have to make that trip, and you could do it in like at one overnight with a nice quick plane ride. I do got to get out there, but I have not.
So you like the Cubs this year at all with Madden and the whole nine?
I think the Cubs are always tremendous. I mean, they always have the sort of nucleus to be great, and I think sometimes, look, they won, what was it, 97 games last year?
Schwaba, yeah.
They were tremendous. It's just they got caught up in that one gamer. Well, didn't they get caught up in a few one gamers because they lost their division in a one gamer, right? And then they had
to Colorado,
and then they had the play-in game, right? The playoff, the wild card game.
It's weird because I think St. Louis and Milwaukee. Yeah, Milwaukee and St. Louis are going to be gunning for him. I still think Chicago's the team to beat in that division.
No, they're loaded, and I think the fact that they dropped that happened last year, they're not going to take the season for granted. And I think Milwaukee is primed to take a step back at 86.5. Milwaukee, like Oakland, has their this can happen in a movie narrative season like once every 8 years.
Great point.
Oakland may be more like 4 or 5 years, but Milwaukee is absolutely once every 8 years. We're going to have our season that you could put a Disney movie out about. And I think they had it last year, and it was tremendous to watch.
So you're going under. You're going under on their number.
Well, 86.5 though is not a crazy number. They could still go over on that.
But then if they get one injury, they're done. Like if Yelich goes out, or if their first baseman goes out. Well,
I was amazed, and they got Moustakas back. They're bringing the
crazy.
They're bringing the Kansas City North up in here. No, they're a good team though. I mean, they have a nice team. And look, Yelich might have had his magical season. I don't think anybody thought Yelich was the best player of those three in that outfield in Miami. It's amazing when you get a guy. It was like Beltran before he came to the Mets. And well, I mean, he had that one season right before where he caught up to 35 home runs, but he was always like 25, 26, 27 home runs. And so you were like, oh, okay, yeah, he's going to be like this kind of player. And then they get to like 40 and you're like, oh, I didn't see that in them. And I think Yelich is just, I had no idea he was this good. So they're going to be fine. I might still go over because at 86.5, it's fair. But Chicago being 87.5, that's interesting. But like you said, St. Louis at 88.5. St. Louis is like, I mean, Goldschmidt's going to make a huge difference on that team. He's going to have a really good season, I think. And then, you still have Pittsburgh, who's going to be beat up a bit, but they can still always be a little bit competitive. And then Cincinnati, who's always a complete bottom feeder, but they've brought in some players. They've brought in some players who might be able to just like kind of keep the fort at more of a, at not such a disastrous season, but at like more of a, a competitive representative season.
This is Tom Brenneman's last year calling Cincinnati Reds games. But I'm actually thinking this is a little outside the box, but you're talking about a day trip or whatever to Chicago. I might take the day trip only because I love Puig. I might take a day trip up to Cincinnati in July or something like that. Cincinnati, just a random. I might not even stay the night. I might fly up and fly back.
Wow.
One of those deals. I'd probably spend the night because I've never been there.
Yeah, sure.
But yeah, you're right. They got some outside. They're like the used car. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and like, in basketball, they're like hovering around that. They might have a team that hovers around that 8th spot in the Eastern Conference, like right. Detroit, like the Detroit Pistons, who, it's like, okay, they have Blake Griffin. Oh, okay, these guys have
Andre Drummond.
No, they have Joey Votto. Hey, they got Puig, who from LA. they got Puig, and they have starters wise Alex Wood. They brought in Sonny Gray. They got Tanner Rourke. I mean, I'm not saying they're going to be great. They're still going to be lesser than.
They got a bunch of B- players.
Yeah,
that's terrible.
Yeah, if there were 8 seeds, they might be sneaking in, but there aren't 8 seeds. Although there basically are now in baseball. But all right, so now we're at our last one. This is a fun one because this could go in many directions. The NL West. You got the Dodgers at a 92.5.
Are you just saying that? Are you just saying that because of the ballparks? Because you like Petco? What's better ballpark, Petco or AT&T?
Is it still Petco?
Yeah, the juice box, the litter box. It's what is it? I don't know what it is.
No,
anymore.
I don't know if it's been changed or not. Is Petco even around anymore?
Petco, yeah.
So.
I was there last 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, so no, I like the stadiums. I like the West Coast. I love baseball West Coast stuff in the summer. I think it's.
You've been to Coors Field. Yeah, it's Petco Park. You've been to Coors Field.
I've been by Coors Field. I've been to Petco Park. I've been to Chavez Ravine. I've been to AT&T Park. I was there when Barry Bonds was hitting home runs over my head.
And you were there at Chase Field.
I was. I don't know if I went to a game there, but I drove around it. Living there.
But the point is, it's an intriguing division because it's loaded. I mean, I'm not buying Arizona, but
no, Arizona missed their point a little bit. Problem for Arizona, and
the snake in the grass is San Diego. That's what it is.
Oh, it's not Arizona.
That's what I'm saying. Like.
Yeah, no, San Diego is, but we've always been saying San Diego's interesting. They do this they try to make their movie every 5 or 6 years, and it goes very badly, and then they forget what it's like to spend big. They go out drinking on that one New Year's Eve, and they all talk about what a great time it is, and then when they wake up on New Year's Day, completely hungover, they're like, I'm never doing this again. But by the next New Year's Eve, you forgot, and so you do it again.
But they're like a poor man's Milwaukee, though.
Yeah, but you know what I like is like now all of a sudden the Hosmer signing from last year starts to make a little sense. If he's got any prime left in him, and I think he's only 28, 29. If he has any prime left in him, all of a sudden you have Manny Machado there, and now it makes sense that Hosmer's there. You start to build a team. Now, I think Manny Machado lost a lot of esteem last year in what happened when he was with Baltimore, dropping. And then when he went to L.A., he was not like a meaningful player. Like he was not.
Not only that.
He was A-Rodish.
Not only that, but he was exactly in the box and then in the actions when he was, against Milwaukee, against Aguilar, with stepping on I mean, what are you doing? It's weird. It's weird, but he got his money. I don't know if that's a hitter's ballpark. Maybe he'll make it a hitter's ballpark. But
no, it's not. You remember when Adrian Beltre, he had like 50 home runs with the Dodgers, and then he went to Seattle for 7 years or 5 years, and he did. Yeah. He actually had pretty decent seasons when you look at the numbers, but he didn't have power numbers. And then all of a sudden he leaves there, and he had a whole Hall of Fame career in his 30s because he got away from there. You wonder if this will happen to a guy like Machado in San Diego. It's a tough place to play. It really is.
But the 76.5 is so tempting. It's more than I'll tell you this. I look at the 76.5 for the San Diego Padres compared to San Francisco's 73.5, and I don't know. I really like San Diego. I don't know. I like San Diego over. I wouldn't touch the Giants 73, but I like the Padres 76 over. Really do.
Giants are tough because when they bottom out, they bottom out. But
Bumgarner's coming back, though.
Yeah, Mad Bum's coming back. And what is he, still only 24? No, he might be 30 now.
Do you think they have one last run with Posey and those guys? One last playoff run. This might be it.
This might be it. But look, I remember them beating that Mets team a couple years ago, and San Francisco had no business beating that Mets team in that one-game playoff, but Mad Bum did it. And I'll tell you, Syndergaard was great in that game, but Mad Bum was that much better. They still have Evan Longoria, even though that first year last year wasn't amazing, I guess.
No,
they have Pablo Sandoval as their third baseman. Yeah, but they have they still have a nice team. Now, the big key is Samardzija. Is he going to go play for the 49ers? Because they really need a wide receiver with
he's actually
Garoppolo.
In Vegas. He's waiting for Oakland to move down to Vegas. No, but yeah, it's weird. I don't know. I think Colorado's primed to retake this division. I like Colorado only because I love Arenado. I think Arenado is the best player. I think Arenado is the best player in that division, and I don't care about Machado. I'll take Arenado over Machado every day of the week.
Before jumping there, though, when did Will Smith become the closer for San Francisco, and Melancholy became the setup man?
Melanson, that's the Shark Tank, bro. That's the Shark Tank.
Yeah.
Will Smith, he kind of got jiggy with it. I got nothing right now with
weird
San Francisco closers.
That's the downer. Now, I guess they could always get somebody, but that is a bit of a downer. That's a tough thing. But I'll tell you
why.
Because it's not a very good bullpen. And
do you think it's any better than the Mets, though?
Yeah. Oh my God, are you kidding? No, are you joking? No way.
I trust Sabian, though. He can make trades at the end too. You know
Sabian metrics.
I just but Familia, like, come on.
No, but
like,
he's the setup guy. Yeah, but he had 40 saves in a season. He's the setup guy. And they got Edwin Diaz. I hope Edwin Diaz is good. I hope this isn't like when they got Frankie Rodriguez off of a 60-something win save season. They get him. They're like, let's get him this year. And the guy had like nothing left in his arm. I hope it's not like that.
Look, I know the Giants aren't rolling out Brian Wilson, but I'm just saying, like, I don't know. I think they'll make some moves to kind of patch it up, because I think they're primed for one last run. Because I don't see after this. That's the only reason why. Because this is Bochy's last year, and it's probably, you know what I mean. They got 3 titles. They're probably going to go, all out for it. So I don't know.
Yeah, I think that the close. I mean, I just don't like looking for closers in a season. Almost any other position, I'm okay with looking for, but I feel like a closer, it's like a goalie. Like, you need to have it to start a season. You need to get all their saves out. But let's finish on Colorado, like you said. Yeah, they look really good, and I'll tell you the one secret guy here who's going to have a massive season is our old
Arenado.
friend Daniel Murphy. Daniel Murphy is going to hit like 45 home runs in that stadium. This guy, people forget, like, well, they don't forget. Great teammate, great Christian. No, but he was so good, obviously, in that Mets playoff run. I mean, he was Babe Ruth. And then he signed that deal with Washington. He was very good that next season, then started to get some injury stuff, but he was always a gamer. They gave up on him. He was traded over to Chicago. I don't remember seeing him do much, but I think here in Colorado, he is at least this season going to have a mammoth power season. I think it's going to be absurd how good he is. It's going to be fun to watch him there. That is my feeling on him.
Yeah, and then don't forget about, obviously, Charlie Blackmon. I mean, dude, Colorado is just. I think, and their number is, and their number. What we got him at? We got him at. Let
me pull it up.
84 and a half.
I got 85 and a half on this one. I don't know. I mean,
you got to take the over.
They should be over. Yeah, they should be over. They should at least get 87 wins and be in the playoff hunt. So, yeah, that's gonna be a lot of fun to watch. So, yeah, I think it's always hard to say who's going to be in the World Series. But I guess, I mean, it might just end up being either a redux
Philadelphia,
or maybe
Philly.
But it could be a redux of last year or the year before.
I'm not buying Dodgers. You know, we it's like so funny. We kind of glossed over the Dodgers. They're just like they're the Nationals West.
Yeah, but they go farther. They go further though.
That's true.
They do get to the They do get to the World Series.
No, they do.
I mean, they've shown some stuff. They've become a real.
They've shown more guts. Yeah.
Yeah. So, well, we'll see. I think that was good. So we better.
So I'm going to say Philly, Houston. Philly, Houston. That's my World Series.
Philly, Houston. Wow. There you go. The Brad Lidge Bowl. Cool, man. All right. Well, that was good.
Thanks, man.
We'll talk later.